morning. No, ladies and gentlemen of the press, members of the party, I'm here to announce another candidate for the Progressive Labour Party team, and certainly I want to thank you for being here. A man with demonstrable leadership capabilities, a man of integrity, a team player, a hard worker, a man who is known for his public service and with a record of getting things done. These are also the characteristics that the PLP has always held in high regard, and it is good to see that we continue to add new members and new candidates to the team that embody these key ideals, which were the calling cards for our members past and present. Persons like the Honorable Dame Lois Brown Evans, Mr. Reginald Burrows, Mr. Ottawa Simmons, the late C. Eugene Cox, the late Honorable David Allen. These are the qualities that we have always treasured, and these are the qualities that people want to see as their representatives. And as we continue to mature as a government, I'm certainly pleased to be able to have flanking me a man, a senator, a gentleman who has put leadership and representing the people as core to his values. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce a man who probably needs no introduction, Senator Jonathan Smith. Sir.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you very much, Premier, for that introduction today, and good morning to ministers of the government, MPs, my Senate colleagues, members of the party executive, and workers who are here today. This is a special day, so thank you all very much for being here today. I'm also very pleased to be joined by the branch chair of constituency number 28, Dr. Melvin Dickinson, and members of the branch and other party supporters. And today I believe is a day to give thanks for the opportunity to serve the residents of Warwick West. And just very quickly, you might ask, well, what's my connection with Warwick? I attended school in Warwick for a number of years. Our family church is in Warwick. I was actually married in Warwick, and all my 3 sons were christened in Warwick. And there are close members of my family now buried in Warwick. I've lived in Warwick previously, so this is not a constituency with which I am unfamiliar. And I look forward to meeting the voters and the residents, and most importantly, meeting their aspirations for a Bermuda that we can all be very proud of. As the Premier has alluded to, today also represents a big step forward in public service. And I take that step as a parliamentary candidate in service for my people and my country. Public service, as you well know, has been a big part of my life, and as Commissioner, I've already had the experience of having 60,000 people demanding results. And I will not shy away from the lessons that gives us and gives me, and I won't shy away from that responsibility. And the few things I think public service have taught me is to listen, to lead, to set standards, and most importantly, to get results that the public demand and need. And that's really, I believe, the candidate who's before you today. In my view, the country comes first, the people in Bermuda come first, and everything else, in my view, is a distant second. And to some, I acknowledge that my particular journey from Ord Road to the Progressive Labour Party has been different, and some might say it's been a little unconventional. But each of us have a story, and it is in that vast collection of stories, those experiences, those aspirations that form the heart and soul of any party, any government, any country. And those stories from our young supporters, our wise and able veterans, and the new members who've joined the party this week are bringing change, new ideas, and new strategies to the work of governing. And as we all look forward to the road ahead, I will pause just for a second to honor those who have already paved the road behind us. And we're in this room today surrounded by portraits of great Bermudians who sacrificed blood, sweat, and tears for things that many Bermudians now take for granted. The right just to be respected, the right to sit in a seat of their choice in a cinema, the right simply to vote, and their place as Bermudians equal in all respects to walk and work on Bermudian soil. And I'm very much in their shadow, I recognize that, but we still have a journey that we must continue. But today is not really a day to dwell too much on the past, but to look to the future. And as I continue to meet the voters, and I'll convey another learning point from my years in public service. And it's a bit of an adage that's actually captured on bumper stickers in another country. And it's a reminder to all politicians, you work for us. And I take that same fundamental belief into politics, that the people come first. And as I offer myself as a candidate on the doorstep, talking with voters, I'll share with them my track record of getting things done in the public service and now in the private sector where I've been for 6 years. An ability to listen, an ability to lead, and an ability to work with the community in setting priorities for the things that need to get done. Much has been said about the difficulties we are in, and there's little need for me to expand on any of that. You've heard of the throne speech initiatives and the priorities of this government to grow our economy, increase job training, and grow jobs. And what I do is offer myself as a candidate and give the assurance that the voters' concerns and aspirations come first in our journey together to build the Bermuda for our children. As we look out on the political landscape and the challenges we face now and in the future, I believe the voters will take a long and hard look at the candidates and decide who can get things done, who has the experience in working with people, and who can best represent their interests, and who can be trusted. An election is about the future. It's also about which candidates the voters can put their trust in, their hopes in, and their confidence in, and separating those who talk and those who deliver. A tall task, you might say. Well, it needs to be. As politicians, we must operate on the fundamental premise that the voters' needs come first. As I wrap up my brief comments, I'll borrow a line from the throne speech and say, and I quote, "Every citizen from every walk of life is called upon to work together, recognizing that each of us has a role to play. Each can contribute to the greater good of the community," end of quote. And in that one sentence, I believe, is a rallying call for every Bermudian. And in that one sentence, I have hopefully done my bit to respond to the call from my fellow Bermudians, this party, our Premier, to get involved, to work together and contribute to this great country of ours. And I'd like to conclude on a personal note, if I may. After all, politics is personal. Although I was encouraged by many to get involved in politics, I attribute a good part of my inspiration actually to a man that I never even knew. My paternal grandfather, about whom I've just recently written a book, was a man who put his country and the fight for freedom first. And he put that above the love of his wife and his children. He was killed in action, and he's buried many thousands of miles away from here. And while I will only be a shadow of the man he might have become, it's his courage, his commitment, and his sense of service that has been a source of inspiration that has led me to where I am right now. Thank you very much for coming today.
Members will now take questions related to Senator Smith and constituency 28.
Well, that was easy.
That's giving someone else a chance. Senator Smith, when you thought the time had come for you to enter politics, you probably could have been an attractive choice to any of the little parties of the day. What made you choose the PLP?
Brian, I'm already on record 2 years ago when I became a member, when I became involved, that there were other parties who were interested. But when I looked at that landscape and realized that the party that has done great things from its early days and through its period of governing, and that there's clearly more work to be done. To some extent, our political system was in silos, and people who look like me were siloed off to one particular side. But public service taught me that this is one country, and public service taught me that I can contribute in a way that may have been perceived as different, but contribute nonetheless. And I was accepted with open arms, quite frankly.
Now, part of your watch as Commissioner saw the island go through some pretty serious declines in its crimes, which is certainly the advance of gun violence and murder. I know you can't be held responsible for that, but does it, when you look back upon that, don't you see as the country has now moved into even further lengths and the party throne speech is full of need to address that? Do you think we did everything we could have done in your time to crack this nut before it became such a nightmare?
Brian, the question is really one of, going back to then examine period of my time as Commissioner. I think it's important, out of respect to those who have followed that office after me, to accept that there's different people in that role now. If you look at my period there, the public inspection that we had of the police, the work that we achieved, and the crime trending that declined in my final 2 years as Commissioner, then all I can do is hand that baton over to somebody else. And yes, the challenges have gotten greater. And that's why I'm all for one is not to participate in a bickering match back and forth about who did what when and how, and whether they had the resources to do it or whether that was the right strategy, because that's all in the past. And all we can do is look forward and support the current Commissioner, support the government and their efforts in breaking down some of the ravages of what this gang violence is. And I'm pleased to say we're starting to see some trending results that the police have already reported on publicly, that things look like they're starting to go the right way.
Is there anything about Warwick West that makes you think you have a major challenge on your shoulders?
Brian, there's 36 constituencies, and all 36 are major challenges. And I have made the pledge today, my commitment, to meet the voters. To some I may not need an introduction to, but it's a question of meeting their aspirations. And I would do that in whichever of the 36 constituencies. I believe the fundamental approach is exactly the same, no matter which of the 36 it is. But my work and endeavor will be in number 28, Warwick West.